Start with a question, and maybe 3 people can answer. Our question is, what was the most inspiring or touching thing you've heard or learned today? Who would like to answer? The most inspiring or most touching thing? No, it's not a trick question. That comes afterwards.
I love the Swami's lecture on Krishna, and that was wonderful.
Yeah, so do you remember one thing, maybe one line or something which...
The part where he said, look all the colors that you've never seen before, for example.
Uh-huh.
That was really enlightening.
Mm.
And I kind of went into kind of drifting, and the Pujaman said, maybe it was a snoring drifting I went into. That was the Puja, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It was very inspiring.
Great, thank you. What else have you heard, learned, what touched you?
I liked what you said today, but I don't remember exactly what. About food and love.
Mm.
Can you repeat that for me, please?
Oh, the quote of Amma,
Mm-hmm.
what she said, that you can lack 2 things in life. The first thing is the 4 basic necessities, food, shelter, medicine, or clothes, or you can lack love. And she said we have to work mainly on the second, because if there would be enough love in this world, there would be never ever anybody on this planet who lacks food, shelter, medicine, or clothes. Yeah, it's also one of my favorite quotes, yeah. Thank you. One more.
For me, it was when Swami Teach taught us the mantra about loving ourselves and finding that what we need for happiness is inside of us, and what his explanation about it, that I don't remember the words, but it's really pretty. Yeah.
We did this meditation today, so it was today, right?
Yeah.
Before the mantra, that specific mantra that when you need to find what is new and all. Yes, the good one. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The reason why I asked this question is that psychological studies have shown that 80% of all the thoughts you have during the day are negative thoughts. 80%. So that means that we have a tremendous negativity bias in us. And what I would like to do is, Ajahn Somshay said in his beginning talk, one of the most important things is that you sit down, you close your eyes, and it's not about trying to make your mind blank. Because then you would make kind of another war. It's me against my mind, and most of the time we lose. This is not the point. But what we try to do is that we understand our human mind and our human nature on the deepest level possible, and out of this understanding, what in the ancient times we called wisdom, we can start to become the captain of our own boat. And every spiritual tradition has basically developed the same kind of ways to then deal with these kind of things. But I would like to make you understand why we have this terrible negativity bias. And what we do in our project every night is that we asked the same question: what was your most beautiful moment today? Every single night we are sitting down and telling each other what was touching us, what we learned, what inspired us. Because you will see then that suddenly your mind starts to remember, oh yeah, this morning we had this incredible pancakes, and then I got this nice massage from, and then you were giving me this beautiful hug that and then your mind starts to remember. But we have to make an active effort to do that every single day. Because we say that the positive things in our life are like Teflon in our mind. It slips away, and the negativity things, they are like Velcro. They stick. Yeah? And this is how you experience your day-to-day life. So, there is a very interesting woman. Her name is Carolyn Myss, and she is going deeply into the chakra system. And what she is explaining is, and that's one way to put it, is that she said our whole system, if we don't train, if we don't do pranayama, when we don't learn about these energy systems, it's more that we get a certain kind of energy every day. And she said it's like you get $100 in the morning. And she said then the wisdom is to see where is my energy actually going. Because we can approach the thing in two ways. We can try to get the energy into our body. We can just, get the prana in. But it's very interesting what she says is, for an untrained mind, to look where my energy is actually going. Yeah, and she said a lot of times people who are not trained in meditation and don't understand their mind, it's like they get this $100 in the morning, and then you stand up, you wake up, you get into the day, and the first thing is you go into the bathroom, you look into the mirror, and you go like, oh no, and then your self-judgment kind of things start. So your habitual mind patterns start, and you lose already 30% of your energies. Then your past experiences start to kick in. She said that takes just so much energy that you just remember, and you grind on your past. She said 50% of the energy just goes there. Then you start to do your daily tasks and something like this, and it's 9 o'clock, and your $100 are already used up. Yeah? And she said, what do you do then when your energy level is already used up? Somewhere you need to get your energy back for, doing your daily tasks and doing what you need to do. And she says, this is where we start to grab coffee, where we start to eat sugar and sweets, unhealthy food, that we try to get attention from other people. We develop all kinds of very difficult and unhealthy ways to get the energy back in our systems. And that's a very interesting approach to understand why we develop so easily these kind of addictions. Why we get so easy to these kind of mind states, because we are just basically lacking energy. And we don't know, or haven't learned yet better ways to fill up our energy. So this is why we are so happy that Swami is actually doing this kind of work, that we learn much better ways to get our energy into our system. So that's number one, okay? On one page. So the second thing is, I would like to teach you a little bit about the human mind. And the human mind, can you see?
Yeah.
Good. So, the human being has gone through a long period of evolution, and the human mind has developed in basically 3 stages. So when you see the human mind, the oldest part of the human brain is what we call the reptile brain. Yeah? So the next kind of part of the brain in the evolutionary process is called the animal brain. And then the third stage of the development of the human brain is actually the part of the human brain. And all these 3 evolutionary steps have a certain kind of function in the brain. So that the reptile brain has the function of avoidance. Yeah? So one of the most basic functions of our brain is that we try to avoid danger. There's a saying, eat lunch, don't be lunch. Yeah? So from the very beginning, that's what we need to do. So, and on the next evolutionary step, the brain developed, and we developed a reward system in us. So we kind of evolved not only just eating, sleeping, having sex, but also seeing that certain kind of behaviors bring us evolutionary rewards, basically. Yeah. So our hormonal system started to react when we do things which are good for us, when we take care for us, and so forth and so forth. And the next one is actually here. Has a function of connection. So in the next step, when the human mind was evolving, we were actually evolving into that kind of being which is highly developed in making connections between each other. You know, constructing large villages, societies, cultures, and everything here. And you can see that here in the old reptile brain are all the functions of fight and flight, and you know, all these kind of things. Reward system is all that what gives us, you know, nice feelings and pleasure. And here we have all the functions of love, of compassion, of connections, and so forth. Yeah? So, that's pretty good so far. And now neuroscience says that these kind of systems, our avoidance, reward, and connection systems, our minds can be in two different stages. The first kind of like circumstance our mind can be in is called the receiving mode. And in the receiving mode, when your mind is in that kind of mode, when it comes to the avoidance section of your brain is super calm. Yeah, makes sense. There's no danger in this moment, you know, there's nothing which is threatening you, so your mind is really calm. For the reward system, you know, like everything is running quite good in your life, you have goals, you achieve them, you can do things, you're potent, then your reward system is content. Yeah, makes also sense. And connection, if you're really connected with people, if there's love in your life, if you have friends, if you have a community, and neuroscience has researched that when it comes to happiness, one of the main factors for human happiness is social connections. Yeah, if you are integrated in a circle, if you really are connected with the people around you, if you have people who care for you, that promotes your physical health, your mental health, you live much longer. People who are in stable relationships have a much longer lifespan and all this kind of stuff. So that's what's come. So there's this part which is also satisfied. Yeah. So that's one mode the mind can be in. The second mode the mind can be in is called reactive mode. And in the reactive mode, this is kind of where all our systems are starting. So if we are in the reactive mode and then the avoidance system starts, you know, we feel threatened, we feel danger, and we react with panic, with fear, with anger, with, you know, whatever, screaming, fighting, running. All these kinds of systems are starting to evolve. When it comes to the reward system, we feel, you know, that we are, for example, we are not achieving the goals we have in life. We always have the feeling we are running behind things. We are always having the feeling there's something lacking in my life. when this is in the reactive mode, we have the tendency to get the energy somewhere else. We get the reward from somewhere else. So we are not satisfied with our work, what we are doing, so we overeat. We do too much sports. We get obsessed with drinking, gambling, sex, whatever it is, when it can become, the rewarding system can get into the reactive mode. Make sense? So now you start to understand a little bit where we are going with this, right? So, and with the connection system, it's the same thing. When we feel lost, when we feel lonely, we start to get into really psychological crisis. We can develop narcissism, we can develop all kinds of neurosis. And one thing which is really remarkable is a lot of times we start to search for love in the wrong places. Yeah? So that's kind of like the reactive mode, the panic mode of the brain. And what you can see, and that's very interesting, is that most of the time we in the West, and now in these countries also it starts, we are most of the time in this negative reactive mode without recognizing. And that has a long, long history.